Attendees are in listen-only mode.
All right, good afternoon everyone, and thank you for joining us today for our webinar, M1 Energy Saving Solutions. My name is Brad Weeks. I'm in Elk Products Technical Support, and joining me today will be Jonathan Jennings, and today we're going to talk about reducing energy costs without sacrificing comfort using the M1 system. So without further ado, I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan for a little bit, and then I'll pick back up later in the presentation. So, well, sorry, got ahead of myself. All right, so at any time during today's webinar, if you should happen to have any questions, please type those into the GoToWebinar pane there on the right-hand side of your screen. We will try to get to as many of those questions as we can during today's webinar. Any unanswered questions will be addressed in a follow-up email later next week. Right, so now then I'm going to turn it over to Jonathan. So Jonathan, take it.
Thank you so much, Brad, for the introduction. Also, along with that follow-up email, we can have a copy of this presentation as a PDF, so everybody will also have that. So first of all, let's just jump right into this. This is basically how energy is used. This is throughout the entire country as a survey that was done by the Department of Energy from our government, and it kind of shows a big representation of exactly how in a traditional residential use of how much we're actually using space heating, lighting, electronics. Of course, electronics continues to grow with the more and more devices that we now have with us. How much energy we're using for water heating. Space cooling is a much smaller representation than space heating, so that's always one that usually throws people off. I remember being in like class in I think it was middle school. They said, why is space heating such a larger percentage than it is cooling? And I always thought back of the temperature difference. If it's only 90 degrees outside and you're only cooling the house roughly, less than 20 degrees, but if it's 30 degrees outside and you're still wanting your house to be at 70, well, that's a 40-degree difference that you have to actually heat the house. And that's why so much more energy is used to do that difference in temperatures. And I remember my teacher, going in great lengths about that actual demonstration. So if we look at this from a commercial standpoint, you see there's actually there's more stuff in our little circly chart that we're going on here for commercial, because commercial has a lot more stuff. We've actually separated out, refrigeration, ventilation. Instead of just being space heating and cooling, we also have to have ventilation for different things, because there can be manufacturing where we actually got to exchange the air. For instance, we're actually cleaning the air for like clean rooms for another good cause. Electronics and office equipment. You can see it's a kind of a larger space there. We actually have 11% for that. You can also view servers. Servers require a lot of energy. I know it was discussed like Apple and Google earlier this week. I was flipping the radio channels and actually heard them about what their energy costs are and how much it is to cool those huge server farms that they have, and how much energy they actually do use. It was a really large eye-opener for that. But you can see there's a lot of stuff that's actually being used here, that if we did some really easy things, we can actually start making this be more economical. Because no matter which business you're in, whether you're in retail, the head of your house, whatever you want to do, if there's a way that you can actually save money, you're always going to be better off. So some ideas on how to do this is energy saving solutions, where we're basically energy managing. Window coverings is a huge idea. I know in the summertime, I'm actually down in Alabama, and it's actually getting really, really warm. I think we've already had a couple days this week in the 80s. Window covering is a huge thing to try to keep the sun out of the house, so the air conditioner is not constantly running all the time. Water heaters is another good example of something that water takes a lot of energy to heat up to a temperature. And you're always waiting for that pot to boil is a great example. I remember my grandmother saying a watch pot never boils, because it does take a long time to get that water up to a boiling temperature, because water just takes so much heat to be able to get to that point. So if there's ways that we can actually turn that off when we're not using a water heater, is a great way of saving money. Lighting, climate control. We're going to be going into all of this too. Water conservation is becoming a larger and larger issue around the world. So climate control, we're just going to jump on the first one. That's why I was trying to leave that one out as much as I could, because I knew it was going to be the first slide popping up on us. Is that what we can do is we can base thermostat settings based on what we're doing, such as the arm status. So if the panel knows it's armed away, there's no reason to keep cooling the house like we were being inside there. So instead of my house being 72 degrees, if I'm not going to be there, well, maybe I want to let that thing creep up to 75 degrees and hold it at that temperature. And as I'm getting home from work, start slowly decreasing that down. As the sun is getting closer to set, it's not beating down on my house. It's going to be a lot more easier for the house to come down in temperature than it would be at 12 o'clock trying to keep it at that nice, comfortable 72 degrees. We could do that a lot more by an arm status. If we go into vacation mode, we can jump up those set points tremendously. Or now we can let the house get up to 80, 85 degrees, for instance, before the air conditioner kicks on. So we get those larger, broad in temperature if you wanted to. There's actually was a guy that I remember he was showing me his rules for his vacation house. And what he was doing is at night, he was actually cooling the house down and then allowing the house to slowly warm up during the day as the sun would beat down on it. And he was trying really hard not to run that air conditioner much all during the day and trying to let it be more efficient at night, where the ambient temperature outside was help cool the house down so it wasn't using his air conditioner as much. I thought it was a really neat idea. I don't know how much he really saved in energy-wise, but just looking at his rules, I thought that was a really cool idea. Duct controls are becoming more and more, especially when you get into larger houses and commercial buildings. There's no reason to be able to heat and cool rooms that aren't being occupied in a commercial building. If you've got a front office and all the offices aren't being used, there's no reason to be keeping those offices at a comfortable climate if they're not going to be used. If you're not storing anything in them, they're just dead space, then you can just have ducts where you just don't allow the warm or cool air to actually get into those. Now for using the M1, there are a wide variety of thermostats that we can use, and here's some hardwire solutions that we have, and also wireless, depending on what you want to do. They've actually got, if it's not using the serial port expander, which is the ELK M1 XSP, below that, the wireless, you can actually see down underneath there which parts you need for which brand that you need to work with. So it gives you a lot of options on what you actually need to do. Brad, do we have any questions so far?
No questions just yet, Jonathan.
Alrighty. Well, I guess I'm already starting to put people asleep, or we just haven't got to that part in the presentation yet.
You're doing a fine job.
The M1 can look out after up to 16 thermostats on an installation. Is that right, Brad?
Yes, it'll support up to 16 thermostats. That's correct.
Okay. See, I've also got Brad on here to be sure I'm telling all the correct information. So we've actually written some rules here to kind of show you what different things you can do using the M1 and the automation feature in the rules writing section. So we're going to kind of go over these, and it also helps you to get some ideas of things that you can do. So whenever the economy mode task 1 is activated, we're going to set the cooling temperature to 75 and the heating down to 65. So now we've kind of given that wider range that's actually going on to keep, and since the place is not going to be occupied, it's going to be a wider range. Like if you arm, let's say if we arm to the away mode, it's automatically going to turn on this task. So activate. So whenever you come in and disarm the panel, we can actually activate the second one, which is the comfort mode. So now you can see the cooling temperature is going to jump to 72 and the heating desire is going to go to 68. Now I know some of the offices I've worked at in different companies, 68 would not make office people happy. They would actually want that to be a little bit warmer. My wife's a great example of that. She's not happy if I try to have the house set at 68 degrees in the wintertime. That's not going to work. But you can also play around with those numbers, whatever the heating and cooling is, to kind of make most of the people happy in a commercial building setting. Of course, in your house, you got to listen to your family. And with me, since I'm a happily married man, I usually go with what my wife wants.
Happily married smart man, right?
That's it. Now what you can do is allow the end user themselves to adjust this temperature, and we've actually done that on this third rule down here underneath the little green energy conscious guy over here. The friendly idea is what we're doing is we're using custom numbers, and that custom number will allow the end user to go to a keypad, for instance, and change that value. So if they're not happy at 72 degrees, well, maybe they want to change that to 73 degrees. Maybe 72 is a little too cool, or maybe 72 is too warm and they want to do 71 in case they've got people that have offices with really large windows and that sun's kind of coming through the blinds a little bit. 72 might be a little still warm for them. So it does allow that end user some flexibility without calling back the installer to constantly change some rules with just little finite little number details. So it's a good way to kind of show the end user, hey, I've set this up, but here's a way you can actually go in and adjust it and allow them to have some flexibility. And you will not believe how far that will actually go to your customer when you actually take account that they would like to do some small changes on their own and show them. It's a really great way to get some feedback from your customers and also allow them to tell all their friends about what a great job you did. Some free advertising. I did talk about this a little bit early in the presentation about other tasks that you can be activated. So we've got a rule here that whenever the Wise House, and that's the account name, whatever you actually want to call the area, is armed away mode, we want to activate that economy mode task. So it's automatically going to change those thermostats for us. And whenever the system becomes disarmed, it's automatically going to change those thermostat settings for us. And that's the joys of automation, is these things happen automatically. The end user doesn't have to think about them anymore. Because usually when you say the word automation to an end user, they think, oh, it's going to be hard, I'm not going to be able to work it and all that. But the joys of it is these are all these little subroutines that run around in the background that they don't even have to think about it. It just happens. And you can see below that we actually have a schedule set that whenever the time is 4:30 and the days of the week are Monday through Friday, that we can activate that comfort mode task too. So automatically every day for the days of the week that we have prescribed in this rule, that comfort mode is automatically going to trip and actually start working. Now we spent a lot of time about thermostats and different things that we can do, but we can also do a lot of stuff by lighting. Now I grew up in a house where my father said, if you're not in the room, you have to turn off the light. And I heard that repeatedly growing up. I don't think I made it a day without my father saying that to me. But now we can allow the panel to actually do this for us. So if you're using like a motion detector, maybe we could have a rule written whenever the system's disarmed and this motion detector doesn't see motion for a while, we can go ahead and turn off that light in that office, for instance, or the family room. If nobody's in the family room, there's no reason to have all the lights on in the family room. If your kids have a playroom, you know, no one's in there, but they always leave the light on. That's a great way of getting around it. For my wife, it would be the walk-in closet light. You know, if it's not seeing motion in there, then go ahead and turn off that light so I don't have to walk over there and do it. So we can also turn off lights automatically by the arm status of the system. Again, if you armed it away, you're on your way to work, then the panel goes ahead and turns off lights for you. You can also do these things on schedules, like if you have floodlights around your house. Well, I want those floodlights to turn on, you know, like at 10 minutes after sunset is a great example, because by then the sun is getting down, it's starting to get darker outside. It automatically turns my floodlight. It's going to automatically adjust that every day as sunset changes, because the M1 allows you to be able to do that. And I want those floodlights to automatically turn off at 10:15 at night. So I no longer have to think about going to those switches and turning them off. The panel's going to do that for me. Usually by then I've taken the dog out. I'm ready to start getting myself ready for bed and arming up the system. So you could do that for you. So either A, we could do it by, you know, arming the system in like a night mode, or we could do it by automatically setting that time. And that's another great idea of the M1, is it's so flexible. Not all of us are going to think the same way. And the panel can still accomplish the same things by doing it in different steps. Because I know when Brad and I write rules, Yes, the outcome's most likely going to be exactly the same, but how we get there can be completely different. And that's what really allows the M1 to be a great flexible piece in your arsenal to be able to sell to your customers. Real quick, the last one down here, use lighting scenes and dimming to provide just the right amount of light for activity. This is a great one if you're in the family room, you're going to watch a movie. You can go ahead and have those lights dimmed down for you by turning on a particular output, for instance, or activating a task to be able to do that for you. It also makes a great presentation to your friends. If you're going to go over and watch the big game, you activate that task and all the lights dim down at the same time. It's really cool. It's like when you're at a restaurant and they actually do that to you, and it's really, really noticeable, and you're like, oh my gosh, what just happened? You could do it in a big setting where it wants to be seen, or you can actually write rules to adjust those light levels down, different lights at different times, so you still get the same effect, but you can actually do it in a lot longer time frame. So it doesn't become so noticeable. So all of a sudden you look around going, wow, the lights all dimmed down and I didn't even realize it. It's a really cool thing that you can actually do, whether it's in your own home or in a commercial building. Whoop, got a little bit ahead of myself. Usually the question comes along is what lighting control companies do you work with? And here we have a list of them here on our slide. Underneath the particular name brand, we actually have the parts you actually need to be able to get that to integrate into the M1 and be able to use that in your advantage for your customer. Lighting can be so different from one manufacturer to the next. That's why I'm really proud to say we work with so many different brands, because let's just say when you walk in to a store, you start looking at light switches, like one brand of lights that says it's off-white, and another brand says that same color is almost an ivory color or an eggshell color, and just one brand to the next, those colors, even though they could be named the same, the color tone can be so different from one manufacturer to the next. And that's why I'm so proud to say that we work with so many different lighting companies so we can actually get that right look for your particular customer. Now some rules on lighting control. Lights in a bedroom automatically turn off after 10 minutes, no activity. So when the bedroom motion becomes not secure, then we're actually going to turn this bedroom counter. We're going to set that to a number 10. And every minute what we're going to do is the second rule is going to subtract 1 from that counter. And that's actually how we're looking at this thing for 10 minutes. Whenever that counter reaches 0, then we're going to turn off that fade rate, because it knows we're not up moving around. It's just going to go ahead and turn off the lights for us. We could use this same rule in like a family room. Brad, you got a comment?
Well, yeah, basically every time that motion is detected, it resets that counter back to 10. So as long as motion is being detected, the light's on, but then after 10 minutes of no activity, the light's going to automatically turn off for you.
Exactly. I was slowly getting there, Brad. It was just taking me a while to get the car around the block.
Not a problem.
And that's the joys of being able to use counters to make these happen. Maybe 10 minutes is too soon. Maybe you want to change that to 15. The same thing, we would just set that counter to, instead of number 10, we'd actually jump that up to 15.
That would be a good example for a custom setting, so that if that needed to be adjusted later by the end user, they could go into that menu in the keypad and adjust the custom setting for 10 to 15, and now it takes 15 minutes of no activity. Or they could adjust it down to 5, where 5 minutes of no activity. So a lot of flexibility there.
Great comment, Brad. Moving along with rules, turn off all lights when the system is armed to away mode. So you can see this rule whenever the Wise Home is armed away. Now we're going around and we're turning off all these different lights. And this is how we can have multiple then statements in a rule. It doesn't just have to be one. We can have it looking at all these different lights and making sure that all these are turned off. Because some of these there's a high possibility they're already turned off, but it allows the panel just to double check to make sure they're turned off. or we can also use what's known as a link or a lighting scene. So if we have a certain group of lights all grouped together, we could turn off that entire scene or link of lights. Like let's say all of downstairs or all of the east wing, for instance, would be another way of looking at it. And they've actually got a rule written here: whenever the corporate office is armed away, then turn off this whole lighting scene of 193 to be able to turn all those off. And this is the part where I'm going to let Brad take over. So we actually have something a little bit different, so we're not all putting you to sleep at the same time with the tone of my voice.
Okay, Jonathan, appreciate that. So just to recap a little bit, anytime that we can create automation, you're creating savings. So if we're turning off unused lights, then we're saving money. If we're adjusting the thermostat to different values at different times based upon occupancy or the time of year, month, day, things like that, day of the week, then we're saving money and we're conserving resources. Another way of doing that is being able to automate window coverings, being able to control shades and blinds to help the heating and cooling system work more efficiently. Close the shades in the summertime during peak hours to prevent the sunlight from raising the temperature in the room, and likewise in the wintertime to keep the heat that's already in the room from escaping through the windows. So in order to do that, we can have the M1 system control the blinds either directly through one of our partner manufacturers like Lutron Radio Raw, the Radio Raw 2, or we can use relay outputs to control the motors of the blinds. So during different times of the day, day of the week, month, year, season, whatever, we can have those blinds open and close automatically to adjust and so forth to keep the warm air in or the cool air out or vice versa. Like I said, we do integrate with the Lutron Radio Raw 2 using the ELK M1X SLU, and this allows us to control Lutron Radio Raw 2 lighting and shades and thermostats, and ELK recommends using for controlling shades through their button or the phantom activation through their programming. And likewise, we can use relay controls to control motorized blinds. I've seen one company locally that sent me some pictures of an installation they did, and they used a whole bank of the ELK 924 relays to automate, using the M1 to automate this whole house of just so many windows and blinds and so forth. Really impressive what they were able to do. So they were very pleased with the integration and the ability to control those based upon the customer's needs and so forth. So we have an example here using the Radio Raw 2 and the Phantom button 11 on the main repeater to close all the living room blinds. So whenever the time is 1:45 p.m. and the month is later than May and the month is earlier than October, which in this example the rule will run from June to September, then set main repeater 1 to 11%. So based upon that Phantom button 11, and it's oops, sorry, go back there. Sorry about that. So whenever the time is 11:45 and it's in between these two parameters, it's later than May and earlier than October, we're going to set that main repeater to 11%. And in the XSLU installation manual, that make a little bit more sense on what's happening here. But basically, it's going to close those blinds.
Hey, Brad, let me stop you there real quick. Got a good question that goes along with blinds here. The question is there any sun sensor to detect a sunny day versus a cloudy day? So you can, maybe open the blinds on a cloudy day to let some more light in, opposed to closing the blinds on a cloudy day?
Sure. There are sensors available on the market to to sense when it's more light or more dark outside, and you could use that as a input to the M1. Probably have to set that up as a voltage type zone input versus a dry contact, since it will be varying. But yeah, that's certainly doable. I've never tried implementing that into the M1, but that's a good example. I'm sure that's something that we could possibly look at maybe for another webinar or something.
Thanks, Brad.
Oh, you're very welcome. All right, so relay controlled window coverings, we're using outputs 7 and 8 on the main board, are used to switch power to motorized shades. So when outputs 7 and 8 are turned off, the living room shades close. Once again, here's our rule that whenever the time is 1:45 p.m. and it's later than May and earlier than October, then we turn output 7 off and we turn output 8 off. So we're going to close those blinds during this time period. Any additional questions about blinds, window coverings, motorized, or?
Not right now.
Okay. Another great way of saving energy is by automating electric hot water heaters. We offer a product called the ELK 9200, which allows you to integrate with a number of different lighting control technologies, in that an appliance module, which can switch 120 volt AC, can then control the ELK 9200, which is designed to control 240 volt 30 amp devices. So more than adequate to control a residential hot water heater, so that we can turn the hot water heater off during non-usage hours, maybe in the night when everyone's sleeping, or in the middle of the day when everyone's at work, or while you're on vacation and so forth. You can also automate pool, spa pumps and so forth to only run when needed. So once again, anytime that we can control an electric device and only have it turn on when necessary, we're saving money. Here's a picture of the ELK 9200. It is it's a high current contactor, and it can be used to control electric hot water heater. Like I said, it's generally used in conjunction with an appliance module from one of our partner manufacturers, so that the appliance module only responds to on-off commands. You wouldn't want to try to dim this module. So in our rule here, whenever showroom area 1 is armed away, the days of the week are Monday through Friday, then turn the hot water heater off, or turn the 9200 off. So, whenever everyone's gone, they arm the system to the away mode, we turn that water heater off. Likewise, whenever it is 6 a.m. and it's Monday through Friday, then we want to turn the hot water heater on, so that, when people arrive, they'll have plenty of hot water for use. It's also possible to automate gas water heaters now. You can learn more about this at our website at elkproducts.com under Security and Automation on how to automate a gas hot water heater. Another great use of the M1 system is water conservation. Automating that sprinkler system can be a great way to take care of landscaping while helping conserve water, especially in this time of when so much drought going on. So you can set up schedules that water only in early mornings when it's most efficient. You can automatically shut off if there's a leak detected. Going back to the light sensor, if you had a moisture sensor that gave us a dry contact or something along those lines, then we can use that as an input to the M1. So if the soil is already damp enough, enough moisture in it, no need to water it, so don't turn on the sprinkler system. So if it just rained the day before, may not necessarily need to be watered again. I'm sure we've all driven by these homes and large businesses during the pouring down rain only to see the sprinkler system running. How inefficient is that? So sprinklers can be controlled using relay outputs, and the Outputs from the relay can be connected to the sprinkler control, or it can be used to switch voltage over to the solenoids. So in our rule that whenever the time is 3 a.m., the day of the month is a multiple of 3, and the rain sensor is secure, then activate a task that we call water the lawn. And then we have our rule that whenever water the lawn task 5 is activated, we turn on a specific output for a custom setting, and that custom setting right now is 600 seconds. And we subtract 1 from the counter, so whenever output 10 turns off and the sprinkler is equal to 1, then we turn number 11 on. So we're watering different zones. We're not turning them all on at one time. In this rule, we can water number 10, zone 10, for 10 minutes, and then once it's finished, we'll turn on output 11 for 10 minutes, so it can water a different zone. Once again, using custom settings is a great way to have the customer or end user be able to adjust these parameters through the keypad. Now, using the water shutoff valve like the ELK SWV2 may not be so much as water conservation or something along that line, but in the event of a leak, say we had a ruptured line or an overflowing toilet or a hot water heater line break or something, then the ELK SWV2 can control the incoming water to the home and shut it off. And this will prevent additional damage from a ruptured pipe or something. So whenever the water alarm in showroom area 1 turns on, so we have a water sensor located somewhere in area 1, whenever it turns on, then we turn output 3 off, which will be used to control the SWV2. And then we dial the building manager to let him know that there has been an issue at the site. So this is it's a great way for the M1 to sense the water, we've had a leak, turn the water off, and then alert an individual of a specific event. Now, this event may not have been, you could have had it gone to your central station, which would have been an automatic, and then also had it call the building manager, Tom. Whenever F4 key on the keypad activates and the cafe water zone 9 is secure and the laboratory water zone 10 is secure, then turn the valve back on. So we're checking to make sure that those areas aren't still flooded. They're good and dry now. Everything's okay. Everything's been cleaned up. Then we can restore water flow back to the residence or to the facility. Below is a little block diagram on how the connection of the SWV2 water shutoff valve to output 3 on the M1 would be handled. The water shutoff valve needs its own 12-volt DC power supply, and then the negative back to the negative of the power supply, and we're using the output, the normally open and normally closed contacts. So when the relay turns on, that's sending 12 volt through the red wire back to when the output turns off, it's in a rest state, we're sending voltage to the normally closed, the red wire, and that'll cause the water shutoff valve to close. And then when the output turns on, voltage is switched to the white wire so that the valve opens back up. Now, the relay is going to stay in this state, either an on or off state, and internal limit switches on the water shutoff valve will only cause it to draw current while it's operating. So it only takes about 3 or 4 seconds, maybe not even that long, for the water shutoff valve to either fully open or fully close. So it's not constantly drawing power. So once it reaches the full open or full closed state, then it's going to stop drawing current from the power supply. Vacation mode. It's a great way to maximize efficiency while you're away on vacation. You can obviously adjust your thermostats to higher or lower set points so that the HVAC system isn't working as hard to keep them at certain set points so you can allow it to creep up or to allow the house to get warmer or cooler depending on the season before the HVAC system kicks in. Also allows you to turn off the hot water heater or other electrical device that's not being used, so they're completely shut down. Turns off lights, or you can create a schedule to make the residence look lived in while you're on vacation. Still, still trying to save money, only turning on certain lights. And like I said, you can turn off the main water to the house to prevent any leaks. And what we have is some rules for vacation. So whenever arming to vacation mode, it activates this rule. It sets the thermostats, and then it turns off any unneeded appliances. So whenever the Wise Home Area 1 is on vacation, then set T-Stat 1 cooling to 80, set T-Stat 1 heating to 55, turn off the hot water, and then activate the scene, that's 193, and then shut the water off. So we have several things going on there within that one rule based upon vacation mode. Now, the difference as far as the ARM state of the M1 system, away and vacation are the same thing as far as how the security system operates, but you can use vacation mode differently in the rules like we've done here. So we could have another rule that says whenever the Wise Home Area 1 is just armed away, that could be one set of rules, and then when armed vacation, it's a different set of rules. All right, vacation rules to give a lived-in appearance, to activate lights at various times. So whenever the time is 24 minutes after sunset, and sunset's based upon the latitude and longitude of the M1 system, that's set up there in RP under automation and sunrise sunset. And the days of the week are Monday, Wednesday, and Thursday. Then set these particular lights to these levels. Whenever it's 14 minutes after sunset and it's Sunday, Tuesday, Friday, and Saturday, we do something totally different with a different set of lights, or maybe the same, but we set them to different parameters. When the time is 2 hours and 37 minutes after sunset and it's Sunday, Thursday, and Friday, like I said, we could have something totally different set of lights, different set of parameters, different set of days of the week. Now, some benefits of the M1 energy saving solutions. Obviously, we're conserving natural resources. We're trying to minimize our carbon footprint, most definitely trying to save money, reduce your impact to ensure a stable climate and clean environment for future generations. That's kind of our overview as far as what we're trying to do when we're using these automation features, conserve resources, save money, and just generally give a better life enhancement to our customers. Some energy saving products where we offer the M1 Gold and the EZ8 cross-platform controls. We've done a couple webinars on the M1 and the RP software, so those are available for review. We can use the M1 XSP, our serial port expander, to integrate with lighting and thermostat. We have the ELK M1 XLC, which allows us to integrate with the Lutron Caseta interface. The regular XSLU, which talks to the Lutron Radio RA2 interface, their main repeater. Now that integration to Lutron Radio RA2 allows you to do lighting, thermostat, and shade control from one interface. The M1 XSL ZW Z-Wave interface, that again allows for Z-Wave lighting, Z-Wave thermostats, and Z-Wave locks from one interface. we have our Elk M1ZTS. This is our zone temperature sensor. It connects to the main board, zones 1 through 16, so you can have a total of 16 of those connected to the system. And that allows for monitoring ambient temperature around the sensor. We also offer that in the M1ZTSR. The R stands for remote probe. It's a 7-foot probe that attaches to the interface. The probe can go into a little harsher environment, say inside a freezer or a cooler, outside, things of that nature. It's weatherproof but not waterproof, so it shouldn't be submerged into liquid. And then we have our relay output expansion boards, the M1XOVR and the M1RB. And this allows for Form C general purpose dry contact relays, which can be used as dry contact, or it can be used to switch voltages to other devices like shades or pumps or sprinklers. We offer the Elk 9200 heavy duty relay, and that's for controlling 240 volt up to 30 amp devices. And we offer our Elk SWV2, our water shutoff valve, and that can control up to a 1-inch main, so you can close the water to an incoming residence or small commercial application. Any questions at this time, Jonathan?
So far, we've done such a great presentation. We haven't had a lot of questions.
Well, that's great. That's good. If you happen to do have questions, please send those to techsupport@elkproducts.com and give us a call. We'd be glad to talk about the integration with our partner manufacturers and solutions that we offer. Well, this presentation went just a little bit faster than normal. We didn't have quite the questions we normally do. So,
well, Brad, we just had a question pop in while you were talking there.
Well, great.
The person unfortunately missed the first 10 minutes and said, which sometimes happen, that's the joys of technology. About the list of thermostats, your list on the website are mostly serial thermostats. Almost none of these are sold anymore. Can you elaborate a little bit more on that?
I wasn't aware they're not. I know we did list a TR60 from RCS, which I think's been replaced by the TR65. Serial communication. Let me see if we can go back to the slide. Bear with me one second. Let me go back to that slide. Nope. Thermostats. Okay, the Aprilaire, the 8800 and 8870, to the best of my knowledge, those are still valid part numbers. The TR60, that one may have been, I'm pretty sure that one's been replaced with the TR65. The Leventon Omnistats, we have the RC1000 and the RC2000, or I'm sorry, the Omnistat 1000 and Omnistat 2000. Those are currently still available. Z-Wave, there's a number of Z-Wave Z-Wave thermostats available from different manufacturers. And I'm not sure about the current model numbers for Lutron Radio Raw 2 thermostats or the Caseta thermostat. But if he has one in particular and he wants to email us, we'll be happy to take a look at it. And
no problem. Brad, I think you did a great job answering the question.
all right. All right, well, if no other questions at this time, it's been our review today on energy solutions using the M1 system and our partner manufacturers. I'd like to thank Jonathan for being with us today, and if, like I said, there'll be a follow-up email with presentation next week. And if you have any other questions or anything like that, email us at techsupport@elkproducts.com or give us a call, and we certainly appreciate your time and attendance today while we go through this webinar, and we look forward to the next one. So, Jonathan, I'm gonna turn it over to you now.
Again, thanks everybody for coming. If you have any stuff you would like to see us on a future webinar, please let us know. We're always looking for feedback, what we could do better, things you would like to see. Thanks everyone's time. Everything seemed to go well, and I hope everybody has a wonderful weekend.